Daf Lamed Beis, not Lamed Beis and Beis? No, that's what we're supposed to get up tonight. We're on Daf Lamed on Beis, but do we finish the Mishnah? No, we just started the Gemara, right? Okay, gather around. Page 60. 60. Lamed on Beis. So, you own that T-shirt from the 50s, right? I didn't think so. Okay. Actually, we might as well read the Mishnah again. The Mishnah at the bottom of Lamed Ralph, because we're going to refer back to that Mishnah. Bab 59. Allah Zayin. Tiglachas Atara Ketzad. How does it work when you get a haircut when you're tar? Maybe you brought three animals. Chatos, Ola, Ushlamim, all those three. Shayres Shlamim, you slaughter the Shlamim, Megalech Alem, and you shave after the Shlamim. Divrei Yehuda. Now the way the Tosfos in the Bible interprets that means first you slaughter the Shlamim, then you take a haircut, then you bring the Chatos and Ola. The Rambam Paskins, that's the way, as we said last night, like the simple one, Chatos, Ola, Shlamim, then shave. Okay? That's a simple pshat in the Mishnah. That's where they're on Paskins. That's where the Yerushalmi learns. Right. Right, the alphabetical quarter. That's right. Okay. Chashas. Right. So, Rabbi Lezer Omer lo yemegalech al chatos. You do first chatos and then you shave. Shachatos kodem schomok, chatos always comes first. If you brought any one of them first and you shaved after that, that's okay. You're Yertze. Okay? Says Gemara on the Lamed Beis. Rabbi Shimon Levi Amar, how do we know now? Rabbi Shimon Levi proposes. How do we know the Kohen Rabbi Eliezer that the haircut precedes the Shlomim? Because it says Vesayil Yaseh. It says the haircut, the ram should be done. Mato V'lomer Yaseh. What does it mean? Should be done. Obviously, you're going to do it. So there's an extra word Yaseh there, which we darshan hikdimbo ma'aseh. There has to be a deed prior to doing the ayil. Besides doing the other karbanos, there must be another preliminary deed. What is that additional preliminary deed? That is the haircut. Hey, so Rabbi Chanina, so Rabbi Chanina asks for Raimon, if you want to make such drushes. So I have another word which you must darshan, and you will find that you have no drasha to make upon it. V'aksiv, doesn't it say, V'asa HaKodesh mincha sovias nizko. The Kohen should do the mincha, the flour offering, and the nesech, the wine libation of the Nazir. Here also says V'asa. Me'ata V'asa. Does it mean the hikti bo ma'aseh? Does it mean that the haircut has to precede it? Of course it has to precede it. Though we don't need V'asa in order to teach us that, because we know that the mincha and the sachim must be brought after the rest of the karbanos. That's halacha. You only bring the libations and the flour offerings after you bring the rest of the korban. So therefore, this also is totally superfluous. What are you going to dash with this one, huh? So it says more, my kadun says more. No, you know what? What's going on, Taka? How do we? What Taka is the source of the drasha, or how do we know, according to Rabbi Eliezer, that the first one you bring is the chatos, and then you shave immediately thereafter, and then it precedes the shlomim. How do we know that? So I said, this is my pshat. The Gemara, other versions don't seem to learn that way. I said, Rabbi Shimon Levi. Rabbi Chia said, name Rabbi Shimon Levi. She'im kilechal acht mishlosh tan yotza. It's a svara. It says everybody agrees that if you shave after one of the three karbanos, that's enough, right? So therefore, logic dictates always the first korban in sequence is a chatos. So logic dictates that if you're yotze after one of the karbanos, mistama, you should shave after the first korban. It's just a simple logic, right? Rabbi Zira boy kum Rabbi Mona. The Shaitar changes it to Rabbi Ezra, for he says for historical reasons. So he says, Rabbi Ezra boy kum Rabbi Mona. Man tana kosh chatos shebator kormos lo hashomos. Who's the Tana holds that all the chatos of But I have to say one more thing. The reason the Gemara does the reason how we know that if you shave after any one of the korbanos yotze, we know that because it says yaseh. That we know because of yaseh means each asiyah is independent, right? No matter whatever we do, the chatos independently, the oil independently, shlom independently, whichever, doesn't really matter which one comes first. Although the proper oil is chatos, oil, and shlomim. So therefore, whichever one you did first is fine, and therefore, once you did any one of them, you can do the Torah Karmiyah thereafter. Okay. So it says more by Rabbi Ezra. According to Shai Terzio, welcome Rabbi Yama, asked by Rabbi Mara, Matana, who's the Tana Torah? Kol Chatos Shabbatorah Kol Masla Shamos. That all Chatos in the Torah precedes an Osham. And whenever you have to bring a Chatos and Osham, bring first the Chatos and Osham. Is it Rabbi Eliezer? Is it Rabbi Eliezer who's the one who holds that way? That's a funny question. I'm not exactly sure what he's asking. It's obviously based on our Mishnah that we've seen in our Mishnah. That first you bring the chatos and then you shave. So he must hold that chatos is always the first thing in the sequence. So he must be the author of the opinion that a chatos always precedes an osha. Says more, not necessarily. Rebbe Lezer Redivrei Akoli. Rebbe Lezer says everybody agrees. Why kol chatos shebetorah kol mos lo shamos? Everybody agrees as far that all chatos in the Torah precede shamos. I don't know. It's very strange. I'm not sure exactly what the sequence is. But obviously, there was a feeling that maybe our mission is unique. The answer is that no, it's universal. Do you know how to turn on the fans? Do you know how to turn on the fans? Can you turn them on, please? Thanks. Okay, so it's a strange sequence, but that's where it says it's not based solely on some aspect of the zeros which you find in Rabbi, but everybody holds away.
And where do you have an opportunity? I know the answer, but I don't remember. Where you have a chatos and an osham together.
It's a good question. I don't know. I don't remember. probably on that's an osham totally, but there's an osham vade which is brought in a case where you're sure. It's a good question. I don't remember such a thing. Yeah. I don't know. Shkoyach. Okay. Haloches. Shigamil says, if you bring 3 animals, for low period, you don't say which is which. So they're all different animals. Chatas is a female, the Ola and Shloim are both male, and they're of different ages. I forget which ages they are. The Ola is the first year, is been its first year of life, and the Shlomim, the Isle, is in its second year of life. So Shigamil Omer, hey, you bring 3 animals, low period, you don't say which is which. Aril chatos, the one which is suitably a chatos. Taka makes a difference. Aril chatos, can you feel it? Aril chatos. Taka, if chatos, one which is suitably the chatos, but as chatos, Ola, which is suitable for Ola, the Korev Ola should be brought as Ola, the Shlomim, which is suitable, the Shlomim should be brought as Shlomim. Payanoitel Sar Rosho. So Sar Rosh Nazir. Now, what do? After you bring the korbanos, you chop off your hair, the Nazir, and you take your hair, Mishalech Tachasu, and you throw it under the pot. B'Gilech b'Medina. Let's say a Nazir doesn't actually have to go to the Beis HaMikdash. But the thing, he can do it in Yerushalmi. So what does he do? He sends his hair in, Federal Express. Mishalech Tachasu, dude, and throws it under the pot in which they're cooking the shlomim. There's even a Gemara Makkos, I don't understand it. Tosefta Makkos, the Rogachover brings it down, which says that somebody who was at an Ir Miklat, where is his father? It's McGanson. I don't know where his father is. That a Nazir who's an Ir Miklat can't leave the Ir Miklat to come to his korbanos Yerushalayim. So he sends his hair to Yerushalayim for every year. So I don't know how you do that, because L'maisa, you can't take a haircut till you slaughter the korbanos. How long are they going to wait to get the hair? So it must be an Ir Miklat very close to Yerushalayim in order to do that. or nowadays I guess they drive it in. But no times the Beis Hamikdash, that was not a feasible possibility. Okay, so in any event, when you're shaving, when you're Torah, when you bring a shlomi, when you're shaving because you became Tomei, so there's no, in that case, there's no carbon shlomi. So you don't throw it under the pot which you're cooking the shlomi. No, everybody throws under the pot, even somebody who's Tomei, and the Gemara is going to explain how you have such a thing. Except for somebody who's Tomei and didn't make it to the Beis Hamikdash. So a Torah in the Beis Hamikdash, a Torah outside the Beis Hamikdash, a Tomei in the Beis Hamikdash, they all throw their hair under the pot. The only one who doesn't is the Nazir, who was Tomei and outside the Beis Hamikdash. So there's an important difference in the Girsa in the Mishnah between the Bab and the Yerushalmi. The Yerushalmi says in Gilech b'Medina Mishalech Tachas Adud. If you shave, as I said, outside the Beis Hamikdash, even a murderer in his ear miklat, because he can't come to the city of refuge, he sends his hair to Yerushalayim under the pot. But in the Bavli, the gear says loya mishalech tachas adud, that he wouldn't send it. So the Rambam Paskins like the Yerushalmi's gears in the Mishnah that he would send it under the pot. Okay. Havon Boy Meimer says the Gemara. They want to say b'shalo pireish. That which he says in Mishnah didn't specify, which is the korban. B'shalo piso pireish. Mistah, he didn't mention in Yerushalayim, but he mentioned when he separated them at home. I mean, they said no, if he was so beso pireish. No, even within his house, he didn't have to specify which is which korban. Lama, why does he not have to specify which is which korban? Because behemo eno lehilchos tumas. By an animal, there's no such thing as a sosum. An animal. By a bird, it doesn't matter. The gender of the bird is not material. The age of the bird very often is not material. But by an animal, they're precise the parameters. What kind of animal can be brought as chatas? What is an olo? What is a shlomim? And therefore, since there are those precise parameters, so therefore, even if you didn't specify, we know by looking at the animals and seeing the gender and the ages, which animals are which korbanos. So you don't have to specify. Rabbi Yisrael Bun B'Shem Rav said, and this is also in the Bavli, and I did no recollection of this. Tov lo barotev, when he chops off his hair, he dips it in the sauce of the shlomim, because the shlomim, which is sitting on the in a pot, and then he throws it onto the fire. He throws the hair on the fire.
In the sauce or in the blood?
What? In the sauce. No, in the sauce. My time, what pasuk it says? What pasuk teaches that? It says v'nosal eish. You put the shlomim on the fire. So to learn that to mean apa zevach yabaysh. Not just the hair, but also the shlomim itself should be on the fire. So how do you do that? You take some of the sauce, put it applied to the hair, and then you toss it on the fire. Okay. The truth is, it probably is much better because burning hair stinks. But if you burn hair and dip it in soy, you marinate it, so that probably doesn't smell as bad. Okay. Says the Gemara, Tani, we learned, Hakol Mashali Dachas Adud, as we mentioned, everybody says, puts his hair underneath the pot. Chutz min HaTomei Shebegvul, except for the guy who's Tomei outside the Beis HaMikdash. HaTomei Shebemikdash, the guy who's Tomei and is in the Beis HaMikdash, what korban is he throwing? What pot is he throwing his hair under? He doesn't bring a shlamim. So it says, "Ma tachas adud shel asham." He throws it under the pot which contains the korban asham, right? Because the Nazir brings an asham from which he, of course, does not eat, but the Kohan in the Beis HaMikdash eat. But he throws the hair underneath that pot. Okay. It says, no matter what, whether he's in the Beis HaMikdash or outside the Beis HaMikdash, he brings his hair and tosses it under the pot. Hatami, the guy who's Tomei, kach v'kach, no matter where he is, inside or outside the Beis HaMikdash, ain't maybe. They argue. A guy who's Tomei in the Beis HaMikdash and a guy who was Tor outside the Beis HaMikdash, ain't maybe. He doesn't bring his hair under the pot at all. The only guy who throws his hair under the pot, is only Ela Megalech B'Tara, somebody who's taking his haircut in purity, Pesach Moed, the opening of the Beis Hamikdash. Rabbanan say, Achi Sub Roi, V'Samuch. He has to be suitable, meaning Tahar, and Samuch, adjacent, meaning inside the Beis Hamikdash. He has to be suitable, meaning Tahar, even though he's not adjacent, even though he's outside the Beis Hamikdash. Samuch, if he's adjacent to the Beis Hamikdash, meaning he's inside the Beis Hamikdash, even though he's not Tahar, he's Tameh. In both those, in all cases, the Meir says you throw your hair under whatever carbon is available, except if you're a Tameh outside the Beis Hamikdash. But if you're one of two qualities, you're either Tar or in the Beis HaMikdash, then your hair is a candidate to be burnt under the pot. Okay? Halachates. You owe shoka. This actually, the next Gemara, to the next Mishnah, is actually one of the most fundamental sugyas in all of Shas. No exaggeration. You were cooking the shlomim. Oh, shokan. Or you were very overcooking them. Cooking the shlamim or overcooking them, we're on the 61. You were cooking the shlamim or shokan, or you're overcooking them, which is okay. Very, very important concept. This is a unique carbon. Normally, you give the Kohen raw portions. The raw portions gets from a shlamim are the chazav v'shok, the chest and the thigh. From the ayil, I don't know if it's an addition. I think it might. I don't remember if it's addition or only. I don't remember. But he gets all. Let's say it's all an addition. The zra b'shela. He gets also the forearm after it's cooked. Okay, after it's cooked. Now it means you're cooking the stuff which the Nazir is going to eat, the rest of the shlamim, with the forearm which is going to go to the Kohen. Now this is a very big shiloh, obviously, which our Gemara is going to deal with later on, because if it's cooked together, kachim and chulin, how can the Yisrael eat whatever's there? If the Nazir is Yisrael, how can he eat it, right? It's a very basic question. What?
Why is it chulin?
I mean, you're right, it's not chulin. I didn't mean chulin. Chulin is the wrong term. It's that which is mutter to Yisrael, that which is only mutter to Kohanim. That's what I meant to say.
So you can't split it up? There's no other...
No, but you have to cook it together. It's a special look. You have to cook it together.
What about other kebabs?
All the kebabs, you split them up raw. You take all the part which goes to Kohanim before you cook it. Right, they cook it separately, but here you're cooking together. Okay, so I am back to story with Shloker. The Kohen nettles the Zerah b'Shalem Minayah. The Kohen takes the cooked forearm. The Chayas Matzachas Minasah, one loaf of matzah from the basket. V'Rakik Matzah Echad, and one disc of matzah. V'Nosan HaKapei Nazir, he puts on the Nazir's hands. U'Manifon, and they wave it together. V'Achakal Chusar Utar Nazir Lishtos Yain. Then the Nazir is permitted to drink wine. Leave time in the Mason and go to Levias. Once one of the carbonates is done, he can drink wine and go to Levias as well. Our Mishnah teaches us the slime which is overcooked is called cook. The thing that we learn in order just have to cook it precisely, you can even overcook it. The Karya Amra, we also have Pasuk tells us Shatzli Karvusha, something roasted is called cooked as well. The Chsiv it says Vayvashus Pesach, they cook the Pesach Baish in fire. Now, obviously, you don't cook a Korban Pesach, you roast a Korban Pesach, right? If you cook it, you can't eat it. That's not kosher, right? In Tema Shulchalach, maybe you say, well, here it's a Pasuk Divrei Yom and Deimar Amaratzim. They did it wrong. They cooked the Pesach. They were They were ignorant. So says more, no, right? It can't be because Rabbi Yonah Butzchaya, it says there in the Pasuk Divrei Yomi, Kamishpat, they did it properly. Umas Nisa Amra. We also have a brayso which tells us that a Shashol Kari Mevushal, something overcooked is called cooked. And what's the brayso that says? I'm sorry, it's a I muffed that. Says more Masnis Amar Shashol Kor Mavushal. The Zohar Mishnah tell us that Sholok is called Mavushal, so the overcook is called cook. If that's the case, the following statement is difficult. V'atina, then we learn in Dorim. In fact, this Gemara appears in the Dorim, the beginning of this Gemara. Hanoidim in Avushal. Somebody takes a neder, a vow not to eat cooked stuff. Mutter Bitzli is allowed to eat roast, uvishol, and overcooked stuff. So how so? If something which is overcooked is called cooked, how come he's allowed to eat it? So says the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan said, by Nedarim they followed the language of human beings. What does mean the language of human beings? They follow the human beings don't call that which is cooked, that which is overcooked and roasted cooked. The Torah does, the Mishnah does, but people don't. So therefore, in his neder, when he said he's taking a neder from Mevushal, it's only stuff which is cooked and not stuff which is overcooked or roasted. Says Rabbi Yossi argues. Rabbi Yossi said, in fact, he holds by Nedarim that we follow Lashon Torah, and therefore this individual who took a neder not to eat Mevushal would be also in Tzli and Sholok. What's the difference between their two perspectives? He said he doesn't want to. He's forswearing the drinking or consumption of wine on Chag. Includes Shmini Atzeres, because we call Shmini Atzeres Sukkos. Al daite the Rabbi and Chag is Sukkos, of course. Al daite Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan also beyond the Vachon is forbidden at Shmini Atzeres. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I went back a line. Al daite Rabbi Yoshimut according to Rabbi Yoshi's prayer, because in the Torah itself, Shmini Atzeres is called a Yotav Bifnei Atzmo. So therefore, his neder would not include Shmini Atzeres. Says more of Rabbi Yeshua Moeded Shuaser. Nah, Rabbi Yeshua also concedes that you can't have wine at Shmini Atzeres. Why? Because in our time-honored tradition, Lom Rabbi Yeshua El Chumrin. Rabbi Yeshua did not chatz sholem. Want this perspective to be construed as grounds to be makel. It's only grounds to be machmir, meaning if you have something which, according to the Lashon B'nei Adam, would not become a via a vow, but according to Lashon Torah would become a via a vow, so that is in according to Rabbi Yossi, we're machmir on that thing becomes also as well. Okay? Says the Gemara, Rabbi Chia Bar Rabbi Yochanan. Along these lines, Chia Bar Omar Rabbi Yochanan Chalita. Rabbi Chia Bar said, Rabbi Yochanan ate something which is chalita. Chalita is like when you make kneidlach. It's seared, boiled and seared in hot water, right? So he ate chalita. Varma says, "Lo tamis mazon by the yoima." I didn't taste any nourishing food today. So the Gemara asks, "What do you mean? You didn't taste any mazon today?" For the time we learn, "Hanoidim min hamazon." Somebody forswears benefit from mazon, for nourishing food. Mutzar b'mayim u'melach. He's allowed to eat water and salt, but nothing else in the world. So we see all foodstuffs are called mazon, right? Everything is really called mazonos, right? So if that's the case, how can you say I didn't taste any mazon today? So it says, but Gemara Pasuk Rabbi Yeshua, he's going like Rabbi. That Gemara which says that when people take a neder from mazon, they're forbidden to have everything besides water and salt. That's going like Rabbi Yeshua. Well, said in the Torah we follow Lashon Torah. In the Torah, everything is called mazon. Anything. But in Lashon B'nei Adam, what's called mazon? Only mazonis, not anything else. Only something baked. Okay? Right. That's the Lashon Torah. That's correct. Okay? That's the language of the Torah. How do we know that? Minayin goes very according to mazon. I know midaraisa in Lashon Torah. Everything is called mazon. Rabbi Yaakov Rabbi Yaakov said the Esra Asonos Nosos Bar V'Lecha Mazon. It says that Yaakov sent back to Mitzrayim 10 she donkeys carrying bar, which is grain, lechem, food, umazon, v'goimer, etc. Mato umazon. The Ray says, grain and bread. that should include all types of mazonis, right? And mikam must be shekol dvarim. Everything else is also krei mazon, could be called kol mazon as well. Okay? Now, ksiv, now we get into very important sugis. Very, very important from now on. Okay? From now to the next Mishnah, very important stuff. Ksiv will not, no next Mishnah. Ksiv, it says, he takes the forearm cooked from the ram. If it says cooked, does it mean it's cooked by itself? No, can't be. Tablor mina ayil. It's saying from the ram. So how does he do? He cuts the forearm. It should be kesara, not kesera, until he leaves a hairbreadth of a touch. Right? That there's, in other words, it's hanging literally by a string, the forearm from the rest of the body. So ask him why is that? I'll tell you in a minute. So that's a good question. What about the, see, I use the word chol because it appears here, but it's not dafka chol, right? The hektish, the arm is absorbing from the rest of the body. That doesn't matter to us. But the main thing is no, that's what matters to us. The body is, the arm is absorbing from the body. No, that doesn't matter to us. What matters to us is that the body is absorbing from the arm, because the body is what the Yisrael is going to eat and absorbing what belongs to the Kohen. Now, the Or Sameach is a beautiful pshat. Why do you have to cut? Why do you have to cut it and leave it dangling by hairbreadth? What good does that do? It's being cooked together. So what's the point? So he says a gewaldige pshat. He says because you have to salt the animal before you cook it. It's halacha, right? You have to salt anything you're going to cook. We have halacha that moliach, if you salt two things together, it's mavliach, causes absorption, kedei klipa. A surface level is absorbed from one and the other, right? So later on we're going to speak about what happens to the cooking together, why that doesn't answer the rest of the animal, right? But besides that, we have the issue: how come the point where they come into contact is not usher? Because the salt causes the kudshim taste to be absorbed in the rest of the body. On that, the Gemara is saying you cut it and sever it as much as possible in order to prevent the absorption through salting. Okay? In order they won't be touching. Because if they were touching, then the salting would cause the absorption back and forth. It's a beautiful shot in the Gemara. Okay, so it's not just an arbitrary act, but rather it's halachically grounded. No, because it's only hanging by hairbreadth. In other words, it's really basically severed. It's not kisora, it's kisora, like a hair. Yeah. Right, because the rest of the surface areas are detached. It has to be the surface area. That hairbreadth would become usher. That hairbreadth would become usher because that's the point of contact. But all the rest of the surface area would not become usher. Okay, that's his approach. Now we're gonna get distracted before we come back in on the basic issue here, because we're going to quote a whole sugi in Orlo, which is basically a parallel to our sugi over here. Chilvi shol Rabbi Yochanan, Ilfa asked Rabbi Yochanan, Rav Shimon Lakish as well. Tevel, now here it's spelled with a test, but it should be spelled with a tuf. Tevel with a tuf is a spice, an herb. Now spice is spicy, right? Normally we say, what's the shear of taste? Of taste. To impart a taste to something. Shishim, 60th. No St. Tom is a 60th, right? But what about a spice? If it's pepper of Orlo, let's say. What? No. There's nothing which is both in 1,000.
100.
It's either 100, 200 max. Hey, I feel elf low batil. Yeah. Okay. There is something which is batil 1 in 960th. I forget what it is. Some obscure thing, but I forget what it is. But nothing is really at 1,000. So it says the Gemara. So he said, what Tevel Mao? What's the story with Tevel? She Yoiser does it Asa be Yoiser Misayim. But it's Orla itself Asa's 1 in 200. What about a spice of Orla? Does that Asa more than 200? They said no. Ain't Tevel be Yoiser Misayim. Even spice is not Asa more than 1 in 200. How can you say this? For then we learn Kol Macham, it's anything which ferments. Vamatavo, or it's spices. Vamadamea, or causes a mixture. Causes a mixture. Now, there it says the rest of the Mishnah goes on. In Truma, in Orla, in Kiliak Kerem, it's also right. All these things are forbidden, and so there it says. So the Gemara says, if you're going to say that it's only also in 100 or 200, like the standard shear, Orla asks in 200. Right, the stuff within the first 3 years, and Truma asks in 100. So why are you picking on fermenting, spicing, everything this year is always 100 or 200? What's the singling out these as being unique? Even if it didn't cause fermentation, even if it didn't cause spices. It must be there's a different parameter for spices than for fermentation than everything else. So it says, well, you know what, you're right. By spices, take, as long as you can taste it, even more than 1 in 100, more than 1 in 200 asers. Ella, over here, so why is it talking in this Mishnah that even chimetz and tivel, even if it causes fermentation, or if it causes spice, it's still only 100, 200. We're talking about a mild spice. What's a mild spice? Elabanovim. Grape spice. It's not really a spice, it just gives a flavor. Okay, that's mild, therefore it's 1 in 100, 1 in 200. Rabbi Yochanan said, Bishalot Simku. That's only if the grapes are not raisins. Simku, if they're raisins, Yesh Tevel Yesh Masayim, the Taka impart taste even more than 1 in 200. Rabbi Yochanan said, Bishalot Bishal. It's also, now, the two interpretations here. Rabbi Moshe says where you didn't cook them. The Korban says they're not ripe. But it's probably bishlo, but if they're either cooked according to Moshe or ripe according to the Korban Yesh Tevel Yeser, it's spiced with more. I'm not sure it'll be more than 1 in 200. I'm not so happy with the Korban because I think actually unripe grapes are probably more sour and give more taste than ripe grapes. Right? That's just my hunch. But okay, maybe I'm wrong. Says the Gemara. Okay, Rabbi Yasser B'Shem, now it's home back in on this. Rabbi Yasser, Rabbi Shimon Levi, Shem, Rabbi Dai said, "Kol nosnei tamim." No matter what it is, it's echad mimeh, 1 in 100. So, spices might be more, but everything else is 1 in 100. Rabbi Chia B'Shem, Rabbi Yeshem B'Shem Ben Levi, B'Shem Rabbi Yosef Ben Levi, Shem Rabbi Dai said, "Kol nosnei tamim." Everything which gives taste is echad mishishim is 1 in 60, right? Amar Yeshua Rabbi Yitzchak, Rabbi Chia Bar Abba, Ha Rabbi Yasser Poligolach. He said to Rabbi Chia Bar Abba, who said that it's 60, didn't Rabbi Yasser argue who would say that it's 100? And it's a mission which argues on both of you. Well, we had on Omadav, all those things which he brought down on Omen Aleph, right? That it must be that they're more than 1 in 100, more than 1 in 200. Because if you say that it follows 100 or 200, I feel low chimetz, I feel low tibel, even if it didn't cause fermentation or cause spicing. It must be that there's certain things which are even more than 1 in 100, even more than 1 in 200. What are they? Those things mentioned in the Mishnah over there. So Rabbi Yehuda said, "Tipater basar b'basar." That which at 60 is when it's meat and meat. Now it doesn't necessarily mean min b'mino. Min b'mino is obviously, according to most can be the rights is batel in a simple majority. But meat and meat means something bland and something bland. Okay, that there the shear is 1/60th. If it's something spicy and something bland, it might be more. Okay? But that which I said 160 is bland in bland. Or likely spiced and likely spiced. Okay? Something of that sort. So it says, Rabbi Yossi says, Hu basar basu shaisurin. It's saying that it's true by meat and meat, and any other prohibition as well, right? Exactly the point. Meat and meat is lav dafka. It means something bland and something bland, or something of similar spicy characteristics and something of similar spicy characteristics. Okay? Rabbi Shem said, Ula Iser, if there's a prohibition, kilu kaflut. It's even if it's as if an onion in turnip. Turnip is the forerunner of the potato. So, like a neutral vegetable. So Rabbi Yochanan is saying even onion and potato, or onion and turnip, doesn't give a share more than 1/60. Has to be real spice in order to give a taste. But even something which has some degree of sharpness, like onion, still loses its taste when you get up to 60. Okay? Says the Gemara, Maikadun. Okay. Let's get back to our sugi over here. What's going on over here with the cooked forearm? So Ahain Omar Nosi Tam Echol Me'Meya, V'Ahain Omar Nosi Tam Echol Shishim. We have one guy says Nosi Tam is 1/100, and the other says Nosi Tam is 1/60. Ushneim Lomdu Mi'el Nazir. So they both learned out from our sugya. How do you learn out from our sugya? Madar Nosi Tam Echol Me'Meya. He who says Nosi Tam is 1/100. Adoi says the forearm is 1/100 of the ram. He who says that Nosi Tam is 1/60th. At Oses Azroa, you look at the forearm, Echel Mishishmalai is 1/60th of the ram. Now how could it be both? Right? The it shouldn't be, it can't be both. So Madamar Osimas Azroa Echel Mishishmalai. Seems like it's machlokas in the size of a ram, in the proportion of the ram. So what's the machlokas? Yeah, that's what it seems. Well, it doesn't want to say that. It says, that's a very, very fundamental Gemara. He who says that Nosi Tam is 1/100, he says, At Moitze, Es Azroa, should be Minat Samos. You take out of the forearm its bones. You're only reckoning the meat of the forearm corresponding to the rest of the animal. And the meat of the forearm corresponding to the rest of the animal is 1/100. Madamar Nosi Tam Echoshish is 1/60th, and Motzi Yisrael Minat Samos. You're taking the whole forearm, again, with its bones, corresponding to the whole rest of the animal, which is bones. What?
Something's got to be that there's got to be absorption by the bones too.
I'll come to that second. Give me a minute. I just want to point out the Machlokas Bavli Yerushalmi before we go, because the Gemara is actually going to deal with that. The Machlokas Bavli Yerushalmi. The Bavli says that the Manamer says it's 1/100. Hold that we do meat opposite meat. Okay, the meat of the ram opposite the meat of the rest of the animal. And we don't take bones into account at all. The one on the Roshal Bavli says, it's the Gemara Chulin, Daf Tzadi Ches. The Gemara Chulin there says also, the one that says 1/60, it says, we take meat plus bones, corresponding to meat plus bones. There's no Shita in the Yerushalmi, in the Bavli like the Yerushalmi. The Yerushalmi says, the Manos holds 1/100, says, we take the meat without the bones, and make that vis-a-vis the rest of the animal with the bones. Okay, there's no. It's either with the bones, both, or without the bones, both. But the Yerushalmi has a shita, which is to take out the bones of the Zerub Shela from the accounting, but leave the bones in the rest. So now the Yerushalmi is going to explain the shita, which again the Bavli is not bringing down. So this says the Gemara. Uksheim Shat Moitzi, it says in Rahaki is Yerushalmi itself. Now, oh, by the way, I should point out the Chazim Sofer on the bottom. It's somewhat torturous, but he does have a cute pilpulistic shot as to why it's not a machlokes and mitzias. Seems to be a machlokes and go measure rams and figure out the proportions. So he tries to make it not a machlokes and mitzias. But it's too complicated to get into right now. Says the Gemara, Why don't you take, if you're going to according to Peter Jones, it's 1/100, because you don't take out the bones in the forearm, so don't take out the bones in the rest of the animal as well. Why do you make such a distinction? Why do you take out the bones from the forearm and not from the rest of the animal? Says Yerushalmi, very fundamental. Leis Yochli, you can't say that. The time we learned, Ein tinoife shel truma, mitzdareves ima truma. If you have, let's say, the shells and pits of a truma fruit, it doesn't join with the truma less or it's a chulin. Not only that, Avol tinoife shel chulin, the shells and husks of the chulin, right? The shells and husks are the same thing. The shells and seeds of the chulin, they join the chulin, lahaus is a truma to lift up the truma. Why is that? Because the forbidden taste, when you cook it in the head, diffuses also in the shells and the pits, right? So if the shells and the pits diffuse and dilute the taste, so therefore you can count them of the shells and pits of chulin with the chulin and diffusing the taste. Another step, says the Gemara, and therefore the Gemara comes to the next conclusion. Rabbi asks, Tinoifa show truma maushi tlitzaivim achulin. Let the tinofes, the shells and pits of the truma, join with the chulin. Louses are truma, in order to dissipate the taste of the truma. And we pass in that way. Well, I shouldn't say that. Rabuna Taka says that. Klipi Isur, the shells of the Isur, mitzdarfim la'atir, they join up to diffuse the taste in order to make it mutter. Adamra teaches us tinayva shel truma, the refuse of truma, mitzarevizim truma la'asal chulin, joins with the truma to uplift the chulin. It's a gewaldige chiddush of the Yerushalmi, and the Shulchan Aruch passes this way, that the shells and husks of the prohibited substance are not inherently asur, and therefore they join in creating volume of mass to dissipate the taste of the isur. Now the nafkamina of this, of course, is our case here. The Yerushalmi is saying, you don't take out the bone of the forearm. Not only don't you count the bone of the forearm, but the bone of the forearm could actually join with the rest of the bones to dissipate the prohibition. Because it's not prohibited. It's the meat of the forearm which is the prohibition, not the bone. Now this is the sugya. This sugya is the basis for the question of gelatin. Did you know that? This is mamish the question. Because gelatin, officially, kosher gelatin, officially gelatin's made from bones and hides of treif animals. So if you hold the bones and hides of treif animals, like the Yerushalmi Paskins here, are not osir, not only that they can join together to be matir, right? Only the meat is osir, so then there's no isser in gelatin made from pig's bones or pig hide. Whatever it's made from wouldn't be prohibited. It's on this. It's on this. That's the hide has to be yavish kates in order to be matiris. But even then, you still have to come on to this Gemara. Yes. But it's primarily made from bones also. Now the thing is like this. Why are we machmir? Why many people? Why is there Baron Kotler to be more specific machmir and gelatin? Because as the Maraponim brings down, the Bible seems to argue in the Yerushalmi, right? Because the Bible doesn't have the svara. They take the bones out of the zroa b'sheila, and not out of the rest of the animal. The Bible says you can't have beef both ways. It's either bones and meat, or without bones and without bones. So the Yerushalmi, now the Shulchan Aruch does paskin like this Yerushalmi. You look on the side here, and Ayin Beis and the Ayin Mishpat brings down the Shulchan Aruch, but it doesn't bring down the Rambam. And Rabban Kotler is medaik in the Rambam that the Rambam doesn't hold this Yerushalmi. That the Rambam holds that the atzamos of Isser are Asr. And that's why Rabban Kotler Asr gelatin. Because he held that the Rambam argues on the Shulchan Aruch mean, the Shulchan Aruch is actually arguing the Rambam, but the Rambam argues on the Shulchan Aruch, and the Rambam paskins not like the Yerushalmi in this case, but rather like the Bavli, and that's why he taka aser gelatin from non-kosher animals because of that reason. Okay, so that's the Machlokas Reb Chaim in a nutshell, in a bone. That's the Machlokas Reb Chaim Moiser and the Rabban called it al gelatin. CH22 from Nyko Grandma Tape Library. Yes. See it. It's the tape. It's the tape on top of it. Yeah. Sure. Right. It's a chiddush to say that Shulchan Aruch argues on the Rambam, but that's what they're going to speak about. The Maraponim, if you want an overview of the Maraponim in the back here already, the name Moshe's Tosfos, quote unquote, he already goes through that and says that Meir Cholim say the Rambam and Shulchan Aruch don't see eye to eye. So it's not as if Rabban Kola came up with that chiddush, but it's just the application to gelatin, which was Rabban Kotler's. What? Yeah, it's one of the, but not always. It seems to me after all said and done, the Rambam basically paskin like his favorite Amoroim, with regards to where they appear. He cross-referenced Bav and Yerushalmi. I don't mean his favorite ones, but whichever ones are more authoritative, regardless of where they appear. That's my impression in the Rambam. Another point that I should make is that the Rash, who's one of the Rishonim in Orla, says that this whole Gemara is just an asmachta, because he says the Zroh b'Sheila is min b'mino, and midaraisa min b'mino is batel in a simple majority. So the whole concept of shishim and 100, that applies by something which is min b'Sheila mina, where there's actually a tam. But here it's just here it's just an asmachta ba'alma. So therefore, that kind of puts an interesting spin on the sugya, which might also give the Rambam fuel for his fire. That you can't extrapolate from a whole sugya which say about asmachta to other areas. I don't know. Could be. Anyway.
Can you draw the assumption, the comparison, true notes around and trade?
That's what that's the sugya is doing. That's what the Yerushalmi is doing. Yeah, you can do it. Yes. The Rambam though doesn't even bring it down by truma. That's the thing. Rambam doesn't bring it down by truma. And the Rabban Kol has another diuk which I don't remember offhand, but he has a long diuk in a Rambam about Tarfus, where he wants to prove that the Rambam holds that the bones of Israel are also. And I don't but the gist of it is based on this sugya. Okay? Says more further. Tani Rebbe Chizkiah. Rebbe Chizkiah learned. Kol masher asati l'cha b'mokom acher, hitarti l'cha kat. Rebbe Chizkiah normally at 101. 100 is not enough. 1 to 100, not 1 to 99. But here, by Zroh b'Sheila, it's only 1 to 99. So that which is normally Aser, I made here Mutzah. Every place, male Aser may have old Mutzah. It's got to be a little bit more than 100. Well, the car here, I feel may have Mutzah, even one in 100 is okay. Rav Ashi Amar, now, Rav Amar, sorry. Now, out of left field, Ram doesn't pass them like Rav, but it's an amazing thing. Rav Amar, Tznufa Ma'keves ben Nazir. The waving is an impediment by Nazir. Nazir's got to wave the karbanos around. Says more about Tahaki said, this thing we learned, Torah Nazir. The parameters of a Nazir, Ben Sheyesh Lo Knafayim, whether he has wings, obviously it's a typo, means Kapayim, whether he has arms. Ben Sheyesh Lo Kapayim, where he doesn't have arms, he can get out of his Nazirus, which means he doesn't have to wave. When he doesn't have arms, he doesn't have to wave. So says the Gemara, the Amar Rav, amazing Gemara. That which Rav says that you must wave is Benazir Sheishel. It's a Nazir Shia which has wines, has arms. That which the Bride says you don't have to wave is a Nazir who doesn't have arms. The Tanakh we learned this taka. Haroy L'Tnufa, somebody is suitable to do Tnufa. Tnufa Ma'keves, he's got to do Tnufa. Shein Roy L'Tnufa, somebody does not suitable to have to do it because he doesn't have arms. Ain't Tnufa Ma'keves, he doesn't have to do Tnufa. The exact opposite of the klal of Kol Tarakula. Right. All over we say call a royal bila if you can mix something and bila makebes, but you don't have to mix. Kosh and royal bila if you can't mix it because you're physically not capable of mixing it. So bila makebes, but then you must mix it, and meaning that it's no good. Here it's the exact opposite. Call royal. So there are sameach. Everybody goes to town on this. But sameach says. He says the Yerushalmi. He brings down from some Yerushalmi. The Yerushalmi also holds the Koroy Bila and Bila Makebes. Yerushalmi also holds principle. So what does Yerushalmi here say here? So he says the Kafaltika thing. He says we didn't see it since we did Yivamas, so I'll mention it now. The Gemara in Yivamas, the Rama Paschal by Yivamas, if a guy's blind, you can't do chalitza to him because he's got to see the saliva. Okay, we never had this as far as I recall. Not in probably nor Yerushalmi. But around Paschal, I don't know where it comes from. So in any event, so there, the Sameach says, what about if he was blind before they began the chalitza? All long discussion. Anyway, be that as it may, he comes up with this fundamental principle. He says that within the process, when you're within a process, we say if it's suitable, if you could have done the process, it's not necessary to do the process. If you couldn't have done the process, then it is necessary to do it, meaning, and therefore it's possible. Something which comes after the process, the exact opposite is true. There we look at how you were at the time the process began, or the time you did the process. If at the time you did the process you were suitable to do this post facto icing on the cake, so to speak, then you must do the icing on the cake. If the time you were doing the process you weren't suitable to do the icing on the cake, then the icing on the cake is not necessary. So that's how he explains. When we say koroy bila ma'akeves or kosher and bila and bila ma'akeves means when you bring a mincha, you're supposed to mix the oil into the flour. And we say you don't have to as long as it's suitable to do so. Right? That's within the process. Since the process can be brought to fruition even without doing the actual deed, as long as you meet some basic parameters. So I say even if you didn't do it, it still works. But what about something which comes after the process? Such as over here, tenufa is after the carbon has been slaughtered and the blood has been sprinkled, right? So at that point, the whole process has been done. So then we say, if at the time you were engaged in the process, you had arms, so then you're fixed. You must do the tenufa afterwards. Or if you didn't have arms, then the icing on the cake was tax superfluous, and you don't have to do it afterwards. Okay, so it's a little bit convoluted, but basically, what some man will say, within the process itself, sometimes I can skip steps. But something which comes after the process, the fact that I was suitable to do that when the process was occurring, that fixes me in, freezes me into place that I must do that subsequent thing. Okay, does that make any sense? Okay, so that's what the Gemara says here, that since snufa is after the process of the rest of the carbon, so therefore whatever with your status of the time fixes what you have to do later on. Shmuel says similar thing. Seir ma'akeves b'nazir. You must have hair. You don't have to cut it, but you must have hair. Ketnufos, right? Now again, this makes the same idea because Lamaisa, what if you have a nazir who's taka bald? He taka doesn't have any hair. So according to he can become a nazir. But a nazir who had hair, he has to have his hair at the time he does korbanos. See, a nazir who never had hair, he doesn't have to have the same idea. He doesn't have to have no hair when he does korbanos. But a nazir who had hair, he has to have hair when he does korbanos. So therefore, even if he lost his hair some other way, right, without breaking his ears, like Yerushalmi holds, that if he lost his hair through any other way other than a razor, it doesn't break his naziros. But Lamaisa, according to Shmuel, he can't bring his korbanos until his hair grows back. He got in the middle, right? You have to wait till it's right. You have to wait till it goes. Yeah, it remains a nazir, right? Okay. If you began, I don't know if it goes by the time when you begin the nazir, it's the time to come to bring your korbanos. I'm not sure, but let's assume it goes by the time you begin. Right. So Taka l'chora, he would have to become a nazir forever. Oh, stay a nazir forever. Kid nufos, just like nufa. Ukibona shel mitzayra. And the same thing if a Nazir had, if a Mitzorah had big toes and thumbs, and then he loses them, so he can't ever get a beginning out of being Mitzorah. But I tell you, we learn Torah's Mitzorah, Bein Shesh bonus, Bein Sheil bonus. He doesn't have to have big toes and thumbs. So okay, but that's Rabbi Lezer to Amar Anoisem Koyman. No, we don't pass this Rabbi Lezer. I don't even know if he appears in the Bavli. We talk about the Nazir has no thumbs and big toes, even if he never had them. He can never get out being a Mitzorah. But Rabbi Lezer says as long as you can just imagine that he has thumbs and big toes and put the blood there. And the more all the Achronim ask that this later on seems to contradict it, but that's what it says over here. Okay. If you shave, before, since we're probably going to have to stop in the middle, Lamaisa, let's talk about schedule for the rest of the summer. Next week, Kite starts. Kite is a big pain. Kite, the summer camp. Because they daven at irregular times. So what I'm proposing, if it's acceptable to all of you, is to learn in Lincolnwood, at least until Kites is over. What? But the thing is we have to learn earlier then. Except for Monday nights. Monday nights I give Shir till later. But the rest of the week we'd have to learn after Marib, which is over around 8:40. Mincha's at 8:20, and Marib is right after, so it's over around 8:40. And it's going to fluctuate during the summer. So if that's acceptable, then we can start doing that either tomorrow night or Monday. Or on Monday, you're probably not going to. Yeah. Okay. But Monday, I give the shir anyway, nach. So you would come later anyway on Monday, right? What? I know. Once we have no Shiva to beer anymore, so we might as well take advantage of that. Okay, so we can start tomorrow night, or we can start Monday. You want to learn here tomorrow night? Learn Lincolnwood tomorrow night. Lincolnwood? You're not going to be here tomorrow night, yeah. So you want to learn Lincolnwood? Okay, so we'll learn after Marav and Lincolnwood tomorrow night. Okay, fine. Okay, Lamaisa, I don't want to run into. I have another minute. Might as well just finish. Go as far as I can. If you shaved on a korban, never the korban is found to be treif, right? Tiglach psula. You gotta start from scratch. Your shaving was possible. The zvachav la'olah, and of course the other korbanos didn't work. The korbanos doesn't work. Any korban you brought afterwards is a korban l'batola. Similarly, if you sacrifice chatashlo lishma, then brought other korbanos lishma. Tiglach psula. The tiglach, if it was done on the chatas, is possible. Uzvachav la'olah, and the korbanos don't work afterwards. What about the old shlomi shelo lishma? And then brought other korbanos lishma. It's also possible. It's not true. He says the korban didn't count, but sharkos v'achavolo, but it's nevertheless the other korbanos do work. Why? Because Lamaisa, he says, as long as you're megalech on some korban, which is a valid korban, even if it wasn't lishma, that's enough. So chatash lishma is possible. But olah lishma is a kosher olah. So the Yerushalmi is going to say, what if he was megalech on shami chagiga, right? Which is, of course, nothing to do. Shtam shlomi brought. Now he made shlomi lishma, but shami chagiga. So the Yerushalmi holds that works too, according to Rabbi Shimon. Not according to any other Tanoim, but according to Rabbi Shimon it works. All right, he's about to start Marib, so we'll stop here.